Is it Jeremy Jason? Cassie asked excitedly. Has to be, I said. Does he have brownish blonde hair and really big blue eyes? And full lips, I added, like Brad Pitt lips? Gah, barf. Marco, of course. The hair and the eyes are correct, X said. I can't evaluate the lips, though. How large would lips have to be in order to be Brad Pitt lips? In that Montana movie, Brad Pitt's lips filled up the entire screen, Marco said. In fact, I heard some people were crushed to death by Brad Pitt's lips. Bet they're fake, Jake muttered. You know how they inject, like, butt fat into the lips to make them all puffy? Animorphs, the great sci-fi epic! Sometimes it's just that easy.
Open the book, you know, I didn't know what I was gonna find. I saw the flashing light just coming down. Oh, what a beautiful sight. Then I was flying, oh, super book. Well, I was afraid to look. Super book, oh, super book.
Our story begins at the gardens, where Rachel and Cassie are in the middle of a field trip, because I'm sure these kids don't visit their local amusement park on their own time. Cassie is nervous because her mother is going to give a speech on endangered species, and apparently has a weird habit of comparing positive environmental acts with random musicians she knows nothing about. She thinks she has to be entertaining, Cassie said, still worried about her mother's presentation. It's dangerous when Mom tries to be entertaining. See, she'll think she has to be cool and all. She'll start talking about the Fugees, or Snoopy Diggity Dog, or Boys 11 Men, or Nice is Neat. Because, you see, Cassie's mom is a moron. Nice is Neat, by the way, is supposed to be 9 Inch Nails, which is the second time they've been mentioned in this series. Kinda puts an interesting twist on I want to fuck you like an animal. Anyway, the action kicks in when a little kid accidentally falls into a crocodile pit. Rachel decides something has to be done, so she pulls the hey look over there trick, because obviously there's more important things to look at than a child in danger. Rachel dives into the pit and ends up face to face with the alpha croc, and manages to acquire it. She then morphs the croc out of sight of everyone else with intent to protect the kid, resulting in a battle between two genetically identical crocs. Rachel manages to outsmart the other croc, and then gives the kid a ride to safety. She morphs back unnoticed, and all the media attention goes to the crocodile riding kid. Later that day, Jake and the rest of the Animorphs berate Rachel for her hastiness, and, man, they go to town on her. In fact, I think the only time they've ever been madder at her was when she stopped a rapist. Sure, destroying Dealing Dan's Hawk's car lot and turning into a rat to cheat on science homework might get you a slap on the wrist, but if you stop a rapist or save a child, watch out! Why is Rachel the only one who gets chewed out for being a hero? Anyway, Jake has other news. Turns out that the Sharing is hiring Powerhouse star Jeremy Jason McCole as a spokesperson. Jeremy is the Animorphs universe version of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and the mere mention of his name causes Cassie and Rachel to wet their panties. Apparently, this is a big deal. Jake, you're not getting it! About half of the girls in our school have a poster of Jeremy Jason McCole in their bedrooms, or in their lockers, or both! He is the #1 cute guy in the country! He has like 20 websites just about him! Wow! A whopping 20 websites! To confirm to the audience that this is a big deal, Rachel asks her sister Jordan what she would do if Jeremy Jason McCole advertised a group, and Jordan's reaction is more or less to cream herself. Oh, by the way, Rachel's mom seems none too interested in Rachel's swim in a crocodile pit, and goes to pick up some milk while Rachel does her homework. Mom of the Year. Rachel starts doing some research, and goes to some of Jeremy Jason McCole's 20 websites. While browsing, Rachel comes across a schedule of Jeremy Jason McCole's appearances, and discovers that he'll be appearing on the Barry and Cindy Sue show, which will be in the Animorphs' hometown. This causes Rachel to get excited, and she suddenly has a hard time breathing. Then, without prompt, she begins to morph crocodile. The morphing is completely out of her control, but that's not the worst of her problems. She then morphs from crocodile to fly, which is impossible. You can't morph between two different animals. And that's not even the worst of it, because then she morphs from fly to elephant, which causes the floor to give in, and she crashes into the kitchen on the floor below. Thankfully, no one is hurt, and Rachel is able to morph back to human before anyone can get to her. She goes to the hospital, and the media realizes that this is the same girl who fell into the crocodile pit earlier, and she becomes a part-time local celebrity as the Amazing Falling Girl. Rachel's dad shows up and wrangles the reporters away and offers Rachel a hotel room to stay in until the house is rebuilt and things blow over. However, Rachel pulls some strings and uses this new exposure to make herself a guest on the Barry and Cindy Sue show, partially to try and get close to Jeremy Jason McCole to determine if he's a controller or not, but mostly to try and get close to Jeremy Jason McCole. Cassie meets with Rachel at her hotel room. The best explanation Rachel can give is that she must have fallen asleep, dreamed about morphing, and morphed elephant by accident. But, of course, nothing even close to that has ever happened to the Animorphs, so Cassie makes Rachel promise to bring this up to Axe. But first things first. It turns out that Jeremy Jason McCole is already in town, hanging out on a yacht at sea, and the Animorphs want to see if they can get up and close and personal. However, the next day at school, Rachel gets called into Chapman's office. It's a nice, tense little scene where we're not exactly sure what Chapman's motives are for bringing Rachel in. It turns out that Chapman thinks Rachel might be suicidal, thinking she threw herself into the crocodile pit as a result of her parents' divorce. He then uses this to give Rachel a pitch for the sharing. I've stated before that I wish the series focused more on the sharing's methods, so seeing Chapman prey on who he thinks is a troubled kid for more Yeerk fodder is a nice treat. However, this encounter causes Rachel to get nervous, and her legs suddenly turn into that of a grizzly bear's. Rachel gets away with this by saying that they're new boots, which may seem a bit far-fetched after all. She wasn't wearing bearskin boots when she walked in. But then you have to remember what happens when a middle-aged man deals with a teenage girl. When she comes in, he's looking at her face, and when she leaves, he is looking at her ass. So the Animorphs head for the yacht. Our 4 humanoids morph seagulls, while Axe has to morph shark. You know, if I had morphing powers, I'd make sure I acquired every single animal I could. Why doesn't Axe have a seagull morph? There's no good reason for him not to. Anyway, they reach the yacht where Jeremy Jason McCole is having a meeting with 2 men and a woman in a bikini, who serves no purpose other than to be a woman in a bikini. Oh, and one of the men is Visor 3 in human morph. So the Animorphs listened into the conversation. The gist of it is, Jeremy Jason McCole hates his fans, and Visor 3 is promising him big movie roles if he becomes a controller. Okay, it's that time again. Yes, it's serious analysis time! This book is kinda sorta about celebrity. Both Jeremy Jason McCole's big-time celebrity and Rachel's brief local celebrity. And I say kinda because I don't think it gets it right. Or rather, at least in terms of the character of Jeremy Jason McCole, Kay Applegate seems to have learned what she knows about celebrity behavior and thought process through tabloids and Entertainment Tonight. One thing one must consider is that becoming a celebrity either requires loads of hard work or super dumb luck, like falling into a crocodile pit and crashing through the floor on the same day. And while some truly treat their status as a celebrity with a Paris Hilton prima donna attitude, a lot would rather not just throw away their jobs, paychecks, and fan bases. And those things can get away from a celebrity very quickly. 15 minutes of fame and all of that. I mean, Ricky Martin had to come out of the closet for people to remember he even existed. Or let's take another celebrity, say, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Around the time this book was released, he starred in one of his last major films, Wild America. He left Home Improvement shortly after that, and his star never really rose again. The roles got smaller, the productions got smaller. He hasn't been in anything in 4 years. Now, with that in mind, how much more interesting would it be to have Jeremy Jason McCole be a child actor who's grown up, isn't getting any bigger roles, and is worried about his career as an actor? Visor 3 shows up and promises him job security with major film roles in exchange for becoming a controller. It'd be a much more realistic scenario that says more about celebrity while still having the actor make a horrible, nigh unforgivable mistake. Serious analysis time over!